What is good in the hood? Welcome to the Mr. Sport podcast with your host Yiannis and my co-host Adam Holt. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 3 of the Mr. Sport podcast with my co-host and good friend Adam Holt. What's going on, Adam?
Not too bad, mate. How you doing? Thanks for having me back for episode number 3. Glad we're still going here with this.
That's it. Yeah, this is the first one of 2019, so it's gonna be a good one. I feel like it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
So yeah, talk to me. Tell me what we're going to be discussing today.
Well, I guess first of all, just kind of a heads up for the listeners later on today, we do have our first special guest on the podcast, Nathaniel Wood, or some people might know him as the Prospect. Obviously fought over UFC over the new year. So really excited to have him on the podcast to talk about his journey to where he is today and what the future holds for him. But again, like you said, it's the first one of 2019. I've seen a lot of new year, new me, and all that slogans going on, and a lot of celebrities jumping on the bandwagons of, hey, I lost 4 stone in 30 days or whatever it may be. So I figured it'd be good for us to kind of just to sit back and kind of talk about what it is to kind of start a new year, set new goals, and the process that goes into that. I know when we talk to Nathaniel later on, we'll hear about the process that he goes through, obviously at the professional level. But it's a simple thing as well for everybody day to day of kind of starting out and really trying to be a better person, whether it's trying to lose a few pounds, trying to be better at the job, be a better husband, better wife, whatever it may be. I think all the themes are kind of consistent throughout all of that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like you say, you know, a lot of the reason why it's the why, isn't it, behind what people want to achieve. So why is it you want to lose weight? Why is it you want to build muscle? Why, even like you said, is it you want to be a better husband? You know, there's always an underlying why, and I think that's something we'll touch on with Nathaniel and his sport, but also something that can help some of you guys figure out what your why is. And I feel like that will help with adherence and helping you stay on track throughout your 2019 journey.
No, absolutely. And again, like I'm sure, again, a lot of folks probably coming to you for the new year, trying to ask Yiannis, I want to lose 5 pounds, I want to lose 10 kg, whatever it may be. And kind of some of the questions you go in with them, trying to identify that. Why is it kind of trying to get to is it a vanity thing? And if it is a vanity thing, going beyond that as well. Do they have a wedding upcoming? Do they have a holiday they know that's coming up in April that they want to be able to wear the bathing suit and look good on the beach? And it's really trying to get to that point. And I'd love to kind of hear from your side as a day-to-day coach with people from a nutrition standpoint, how much of that conversation takes place with you? How many people already come to you knowing what that is? Or is it really a process of trying to tease out that information from people?
Yeah, I mean, it is something that you do is something that you do have to figure out. I mean, obviously, you do get clients that are within the ranges of being considered overweight to obese. So obviously, for some of them, it's from a health standpoint, but yeah, you do get the odd client that has seen they've seen Aquaman over the New Year period, and they want to look like Jason Momoa and stuff like that. So yeah, sometimes you do have to explain some of the trade-offs, I think, because wanting to lose weight and wanting to look better is something that you can create adjustments in your diet, and you can actually, there is no one size fit all approach, so you can make those adjustments and still live a great life. But like Adam, working with athletes, if you want to get to that 9% or 7% body fat, that's when you start trading off with the enjoyment factors in your life. And that's something that I think a few people, and what we'll discuss with Nathaniel, is the sacrifice element. So is it really worth what you want? That type of body that you're going for, is it worth the amount of trade-offs that you may have to make? So yeah, it's certainly something I have discussed in the new year with the new year, new me lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely an interesting concept, and I guess if we talk kind of top line around the whole idea, it just comes down to kind of a process again, doesn't it? It's having a goal is the initial thing. It's having a plan then to try and get you to that goal, and then it's working the plan is the key thing. I see a lot of people, they have a goal of losing weight. The plan is they're going to go join the gym, and then they don't work the plan because they never go to the gym, or they go to the gym for the first 2 weeks and that's it. I mean, I've seen the gym near me here, like the normal times of day I normally go, it's usually me and 10 other people in there. Right now there's 25, 30 people. But
Yeah.
that obviously tails off throughout the year. So again, when we're talking about having a goal, it obviously has to tie back to the why again. So like you said, it could be someone might be obese. They've been told by the doctor that they need to lose weight for health reasons. But then the why is probably even beyond that. Again, it might be to be able to play, make sure that they can get up and run around with the kids or the grandkids or whatever it may be. So there's obviously the why around that. But I think a bit of focus should be on the planning side of things. Obviously, you're a coach. I'm a coach, business professional. Nathaniel's a professional athlete. And what I find interesting is looking at kind of Nathaniel's content that he puts out on social media. I saw you the other day as well on social media. Even you and Nathaniel and myself, we've all got coaches as well. So I think it's very interesting. I think it's a really good point to bring up to the listeners that even people who might be coaching you still have coaches themselves because there's always something they can learn. Do you want to touch on that a little bit about how you look outside to maybe a coach, whether it's a business coach, whether it's someone else in the nutrition industry, if you're trying to better yourself all the time as well in your process of trying to get to your personal goals?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly like you said. I obviously know my field. I don't know, I don't know everything in my field, but I feel like I know enough to be able to coach other people. But as you know, I'm running a business, Adam, and therefore there's certain things that I think you outsource to others. I mean, if you was an entrepreneur, for example, I hate the term, but because everyone calls themselves an entrepreneur, but if you look at someone like Elon Musk, he comes up with a lot of these ideas, but he's not physically creating them himself. He has to outsource people to gain information, to be able to create the products that he wants to create. So I think it's the same sort of thing. So obviously in Nathaniel's case, he wants to be an elite level fighter. He's fighting now in the UFC. But it comes down to the technical, tactical, all of that stuff that you said, the physical attributes. And he obviously needs to hire coaches in each field in order to gain that, not just gain that knowledge, but help with adherence as well. Certainly my job with a lot of my clients is keeping them on track. And I think hiring a coach can really help with that when you've got someone in your corner that is laying out a strategy, like a plan, like you said, and helping you to stay on track with that plan, which slowly guides you towards your goal. So yeah, I think it's something that is necessary, and like you said, we all, everyone has a coach. I'm probably sure even Elon Musk has his people that he discusses his ideas with. So yeah.
No, for sure. No, good point as well. So yeah, so around that, like we said, we've got the goal, we have the plan, and then obviously executing the plan as well, and that's the key thing. And I think some people try and chase overnight successes, which obviously can really be a negative thing. I mean, it's great to see success overnight, but it doesn't always happen. I saw a post, and again, Nathaniel will be on the call later on. I saw a post from him today talking about he's looking to get that 1% better every day. And I think if you can sit there and sit back and just get 1% better every day, that compounds over the course of a month, 6 months, a year. And before you know it, you're making huge strides and huge gains. So that's something that I think for everybody listening is stick to the process. These processes have been proven to work time and time again. You look at the success stories you have with your clients, the results do come. It's the ones who try and cut corners and cheat the process that don't get the results. So the final point around that is really working the plan. Make sure you stick to the process. And again, that's where a coach or a community, so obviously the Mr. Sport community that you're creating, that's where that community, that coach can really help you kind of stay on track and stay motivated and stay kind of bought into the process for sure. Do you have any special tricks, tactics to help people do that? Is it kind of a weekly picture, a weekly check-in? Kind of what's some of your thoughts around helping people from a nutrition standpoint to stay with the process?
Yeah, I mean, on Mr. Sport Online, which we'll be launching next week, we've already laid out some of the processes of getting to your goal. And obviously, number one is goal setting, as you said, figure out what it is you want to do, why you want to do it, and obviously moving on to planning, where how are you going to do it? How are you going to achieve that goal? And I think you want to break it down into small victories. If you say, oh, I want to lose weight, that's in some instances too vague. You don't just want to lose 10 kilos, otherwise you've got to wait a hell of a long time before you get a mini victory. So you might want to focus on losing 1 kilo or adding 2.5 kilos to your lifts, for example, if you're trying to get stronger or something. So just very little things like that, and obviously check-in stuff. So check-in weekly or bi-weekly, and also creating a daily checklist. So I feel like, certainly for myself, I'm quite busy, and at the end of the day, so I'm not going to get half as much as I can done if I'm not writing it down and ticking it off as I'm going along. And it almost makes you feel good when you do tick it off, because each day you're doing the small stuff that ultimately leads to the big results. So yeah, that's my method at the moment of helping people stay on track.
Rome wasn't built overnight, as they say.
Exactly. I read a post from Lionel Messi, the other day, and it was just basically saying, I waited. People call me an overnight success, but it took me 18 years to be a success. And I thought that's so true. People just think these guys are found, found somewhere in Argentina, and just suddenly he's the world's best player. It takes commitment, sacrifice, and whatnot, and across a long period of time before you get there. But
No, for sure. Talent can only take you so far, doesn't it? One of the quotes I like to. We're getting very philosophical here with our quotes today. One of the ones I really like is hard work beats talent when talent forgets to work. So it's so true. You can have all the talent in the world, and you might have one or two successes, but if you don't have that hard work, that's when you become a wasted talent. And I guess that's a good segue there to kind of let us move on there, then to kind of bring in Nathaniel into the conversation. So I will let you introduce Nathaniel, and then we'll talk to him for a little bit now, and let the viewers get a little bit of insight on what it is to be a UFC fighter and one of the best up and coming fighters in Britain.
And for the listeners out there, this podcast is actually sponsored by Rapid Results Gourmet. We do work closely together to assist some of our athletes like Nathaniel. So if you want to get 10% off of your order, use discount code MrSport10, and yeah, they'll hook you up. So, ladies and gentlemen, we now have UFC fighter and my good friend Nathaniel Wood on the line. How's it going, Nathaniel?
All good here, mate. Thank you. Just enjoying the week off after my fight, so getting fat as we speak. But yeah, mate, I'm all good. Thank you. How are you?
Not bad, brother, not bad. So I know that Adam has a number of questions just before we get into the deep stuff. So yeah, fire away, Adam, if you've got any at the ready.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Good to have you on the podcast, Nathaniel. I don't think it's good to say you're getting fat in front of your nutritionist, but I can edit that one out if you send me a check under the table. But yeah, but no, great. It's obviously great to have you on. Again, very honoured that you'll be our first guest on the podcast. Obviously, for everybody out there, obviously Nathaniel Wood, the prospect some people might know you by in the realms of UFC and MMA, etc. It'd just be great for everybody to get an understanding of kind of the journey of what it's taken to get you to where you are today, and really try and get to know the real Nathaniel a little bit, and kind of what's your motivation, the why for doing everything. Just to really get a good understanding.
If I'm honest, mate, when I was 16, I'm 25 now, so about 10 years ago, I left school and I thought I was doing carpentry and building work, and I thought, man, this sucks. I do not want to be doing this for the rest of my life. And for me, I've always wanted to do a sport for a dream.
Yep.
A dream of mine's always been to do a sport for a living, and I was kind of looking at the sports, and I was thinking, man, there's no sports that you can kind of start at the age of 16 and really make a career out of. Always been a fan of UFC and martial arts, and the more I was watching it, the more I realized that the champions at the time, they hadn't started training until they were like early 20s, and I was sitting there and I was like 16 or 15 at the time, thinking, man, if I'm 15 or 16, I give this a go, maybe I could make something out of it. So I went along with my dad and literally was like a duck to water, mate. And before I knew it, I was training twice a day. A couple of years later, got into my semi-pro fights, and if I'm honest, mate, was just smashing it, and I loved it. And then, as I say, the rest is history. And just progressed from the pro ranks up to from the semi-pro ranks, up to the pro ranks, and now I'm in the UFC, living the dream.
I've got a couple of quick questions for you, Nathaniel, actually, because that's quite interesting what you're saying. So, um, obviously, the first one is, did you have a natural ability when you set foot in the gym, or was it initially obviously you have to learn jiu-jitsu and striking and whatnot, but did you feel like you had a potential when you first stepped in there?
Yes, in the sense that I've always been athletic and I've always watched the UFC with my old man. He's always done martial arts. So for me, I already knew how to throw a triangle up. I already knew how to do the submissions, and I've always had a punch bag in my garage. So my dad's always taught me how to throw a good jab, a good right cross, And so for me, I wouldn't say I had experience. I think I had about a year of kickboxing experience when I was about 10 years old. Other than that, I was literally fresh coming straight into it. But as I say, I already knew the basics. I already knew how to do stuff. So I kind of knew that, just with the right coaching and with my athletic ability, if I have the right mindset, I'll be able to go as far as I want in this sport.
Nice. I mean, that sort of ties into what we were discussing at the beginning, Adam, about the whole process, and obviously part of that is having the right people around you. So, yeah, I mean, do you, when it comes to your training, because I know you're quite a family, and you keep your family and your coaches close to you, don't you? That
Yeah.
your dad's always in your corner. You've got Brad, who you've been with since the start. Yeah, you're always, you've always got your friends and your girlfriend and everyone there in your corner. So is that something that's quite important to you, having obviously not just having the right knowledge in your camp, but having those people that that have come with you from the beginning?
100%, mate. I'm a big believer in the anything you want to do good at, you got to surround yourself with the people that are, one, good at it, and two, who are successful in that industry. There's no point in you learning off someone who hasn't got a clue what they're talking about. As I say, as you said, it's important to have the right people around you, the family. For me, I'm blessed to have a mum and dad that support me in this journey. Whereas, a lot of parents would potentially be against it. I've got a girlfriend who, is an absolute diamond. She doesn't ever give me grief about going training. She's easy. She puts up with me when I'm cutting weight, and even like yourself, you got to supply yourself with the best people in all areas. So I've got the right nutritionist. You got to have the right sponsors that are supporting you. You got to have the right jiu-jitsu coach, wrestling coach, and right this second, I honestly can say that I have every area covered.
That's it.
No. Yeah, that's awesome. Again, like you mentioned there, kind of the sacrifices that go into being the fighter that you are, etc. What does a day in the life of Nathaniel look like in a camp? Like, what you're doing from waking up, what you eating, what's the training looking like? I mean, I think it's just the sacrifice that you guys go through is immense, and it would just be great to kind of understand that a little bit more and to get an idea of what that looks like for you.
Yeah, so a typical day, I wake up in the morning, have my breakfast, and then, I head over to my first session, which is usually at Team Titan, and that's in North London. So for me, it's about an hour and a half to get to. That's where I meet Brad Pickett. We go on a train together. I go up there, do our first morning session, which on a Monday that's wrestling, so that'll be a tough session, and then hour and a half journey back. That's the longest bit. Get home, couple hours just downtime, just to relax and grab a bit of food and whatnot. And then, I'll go over to my second session, which is usually pads with my dad, or, maybe strength conditioning or something like that. Do the second session, and then usually I'm done, for the rest of the night, which is probably 7 p.m. by the time I've finished everything. I can kind of just chill out and relax a little bit and get ready for the next day, really. So, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes it can be a bit boring and repetitive. But that's what we got to do, in this sport. And like I said, I honestly believe that I'm surrounded by the best people in all areas. So for me, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's why, I stick to the sessions that I'm used to. And for now, I'm just going to keep doing that until eventually, if there's ever an issue, then maybe I need to mix things up. But For me at the moment, Brad Pickett and one of the guys that I'm quite close with, Martin Barrett, they're looking at opening a GB top team. So that should be close to home. So, fingers crossed. I'll still have all the same teammates and coaches around me. And, if I can just travel 15 minutes up to the gym, then mate, that will save a hell of a lot of time in each day. And, I might even be able to get another session in.
Nice, perfect. I mean, you sound like you're really enjoying it, which is a really important thing. I mean, you don't look like your routine is something that you dread, which I think is part of the process. But do you feel like you make a lot of sacrifices? Because every time I look on my Instagram, you are in the gym, fam. Like, you are training like all the time, which is quality. But do you ever rely on just having to do it, or is it that you just genuinely love getting in there every day?
I definitely would say that there's times where I'd rather be at home chilling out, but no, I enjoy what I do, and that was the idea when I got into the sport. I thought, man, if I can enjoy what I do for a living, then I'll never work a day in my life. So right now, I can honestly say I'm enjoying the journey. Obviously, the beginning of the pro ranks, you're earning peanuts, man. So that's hard graft. But now, being in the UFC, it makes life a lot more comfortable. So I'm literally doing what I love to do, and I'm earning some decent money in the same process. So yeah, and as I say, sometimes the sessions can be a little bit repetitive, but I've got the right people around me. So, for me, going to the gym with, as I say, Brad Pickett or my dad or whoever, we all get on. We've got a good relationship. So if you're working in an environment and you're surrounded with people who you class as family and your best mates, then it makes my life a lot more easy.
Nice. Yeah. Well, go on.
No, I was just going to say, like, it's really interesting. Like you said, Yiannis, and before you came on, Nathaniel, we were talking about the process and how people might not see success overnight, but it's kind of every day doing the right things, trying to get that little bit extra. I saw you post today on Instagram, kind of trying to get that 1% every day.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the philosophy that you and your team have every single day, of just trying to always get better at something?
Definitely, 100%. If as you say, if you can get 1% better every day, then how much better can you be in a year's time or 2 years' time? It does make a lot of difference. But going back to your last question, the sacrifices, I would say, came in my earlier years when I was training at the age of 16 and 18, when all your friends are going out, they're going clubbing, and I did have to make a lot of sacrifices. I'd get a call saying, "Oh mate, we're all meeting up at the pub. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "Man, I'm gonna have to go training. Sorry." So right now it's not as hard because my friends are all pretty much working a 9 to 5 in the office, and then they get home and just watch telly anyway. But growing up at the sort of 16 to 21 age, that was a time when I did have to make a lot of sacrifices.
You can make up for it now, though. You can fight in Vegas and go party in Vegas afterwards now. So they're all the ones looking up to you now, asking, can they come out with you? Instead, they're calling you to ask, can they attend, as opposed to asking you to come out. So I think you can make up for it.
That's it.
Sure.
So what you literally just said there, I suppose it ties into, for some of our weight loss listeners and for some of those, with other goals, maybe outside of a competitive sport. You were going on about, sometimes you have to sacrifice your social life, or certainly make adjustments to your life. Someone's phone vibrating there. It's killing me.
It's Nathaniel. He's getting blown up. Not all of us fighting the UFC, Yiannis. So not all of us want us.
Don't I know, man? Don't I know? I'm jealous. But yeah, what I was saying was, I think it goes back to what you were saying for weight loss. A lot of people they are social butterflies, if you like. So they do get caught up in this weekend binging or going out and getting pissed on the weekend. And I think, like you said, sometimes you got to see where your life can go rather than live in the moment, if that makes sense. A lot of people want something that their habits don't create for them. And the reality is, if you want to be slimmer or more muscly or healthier, you do eventually hit a position where you have to make those sacrifices, similar to what you said, Nathaniel, because I'm sure that maybe you wouldn't be here doing what you're doing if you hadn't have made those sacrifices, along with obviously the commitment and stuff. So that's something I think others can benefit from for sure.
100%. I kind of think it's like, if someone went university, they might have to spend, I don't know, 2 years or however long it is, and they might have to pay thousands of pounds to get the qualification they need to pursue the dream they want to do. So for me, that's kind of the way I would describe it, that, I had to spend a lot of years being broke, not meeting up with my mates, not being able to have Christmas dinner, like last week. But in the end, you've got to look at the end goal. And, that's when you can see how bad someone wants it. If someone wants to lose weight and, they want to drop however much they got to do, if you just going to crave every time you see a donut, then it obviously isn't that important to you. So you got to weigh up your options. And do you want to get to where you want to be and make the little sacrifices? If it was easy, everyone would do it. So
No, that's true.
Kind of way I live by.
No, I mean, I must say, for the record, you do tend to do quite well with the weight cut. I mean, most of the coaching behind weight loss and coaching behind even with athletes is actually, Adam, and you know this as well, is to do with their habits, is to do with their the actions that they're taking. And I find Nathaniel, strangely, to be one of the better clients that I work with, in that he just asks for the information, and then he's almost doesn't need a check-in. It's almost like he'll check in by the weekend and say, oh yeah, I've dropped a kilo this week. And then you'll say, all right, well, we need to make these adjustments. And then you think, I haven't heard from Nathaniel. And then he checks in, oh yeah, I've dropped another kilo. It's almost like you say, staying, not necessarily just staying dedicated, but I suppose as a competitive athlete, or as a pro athlete, you don't necessarily need the same level of giving you that why, because you already have that why embedded in you, if that makes sense. Whereas
That's,
we're trying to lose weight, obviously require someone to help you coach them and whatnot. So yeah, Karen.
that's the thing with the MMA. It's a one-man sport. At the end of the day, I'm the one getting in there, so it doesn't matter how good your coaches are. If you're not going to put the work in, you're not going to get the results. So it's as you say. You set me out my diet plan. It could be the best diet plan in the world. Which it is. It's up to me. I could lie to you and say, yeah, mate, I'm following it, and then I go down the road to Krispy Kremes and eat a few donuts. But at the end of the day, I'm the one getting in there. I'm the one that's got to make the weight. So, otherwise I'm going to be complaining that I've got to get in the sauna for another hour. So at the end of the day, as I said, people have just got to look at the end goal and say, is it worth it? Yes, it is. I want to stick to my nutrition plan so that when I get in there and my opponent's opposite me, I know that I've had the best fuel that I could have in my camp. And, it's up to me. If I don't want to do it, cool. At the end of the day, I'm the one getting in there. So, there's a lot of sports that are like football. It's a team sport. So if you're having an off day, you can maybe rely on your teammates to play the game. But for me, at the end of the day, I'm the one getting in there. So if I don't put the work in and I don't follow the plan, I'm the one that's going to get knocked out on the night or whatever it be.
Yeah, if you can't hide behind a team, if you get it wrong, you're getting injured. No, that's interesting. I guess, like Yiannis said, you're very good at sticking to the plan. What weight, for people who don't know, what weight do you kind of weigh in at, and what do you walk around day to day at? What does that drop look like for you?
I have to weigh in at 61.5 kilograms, which is 135 pounds.
Yep.
And I walk around at, I would say, 71, 72 kilos.
Okay.
So about 10, about 10, 11 kilos usually I have to drop.
Yeah, and then between weigh-in and then the actual fight day, how much weight do you actually then put back on? Because I know you obviously see some boxers and MMA fighters, they look really, really dry and depleted on weigh-in, then the next day they look swell again. What's that kind of add on the day after weigh-in for you?
Usually the day of the fight, I would have put 10 to 13 pounds back on. So, it's not huge. I know a lot of guys that cut a lot more in the sauna. I try and diet down a lot more, which means, I won't put as much back on. But it just, I hate that sauna. So I don't want to stay in there any longer than I have to.
Yeah, and I think that touches on the fact that weight cutting and how it is perceived as quite a dangerous aspect of the sport. I mean, if fighters do like yourself, during during that fight camp, we are actually trying to target body fat rather than water. Whereas a lot of the other fighters, they do it wrong. They end up cutting carbohydrates, cutting sodium, so not adding salt to any of their foods. And then they go and they, the weight that they are losing through those, 3 or 4 weeks is actually water. And then they go to get in the sauna. Have we lost him? Is he still there?
I think we lost Nathaniel.
My phone's going a bit up the Swanee, mate.
Going a bit at the wall there.
Yeah.
Oh, we still got you on audio.
He's back. So yeah, I think the thing is, obviously you are cutting weight in a much safer way. I mean, I know with your nutrition, we won't touch water weight until the week of the fight. Whereas I think a lot of other fighters are, without necessarily knowing, they're targeting water, and then they, 3 weeks before, then they get in the sauna and they're literally killing themselves. So yeah, I think whoever your nutritionist is, mate, you must be doing it right.
He's spot on, mate. He's spot on. But as you say, I've had fighters telling me that they're cutting carbs and salt out a month before their fight. I'm like, mate, why are you doing that?
How are you still training at any decent level?
Mate, that's what I mean. I say to these people, I say, look, you cut weight and that's all good, but you've got to fight the next day as well. You know that. So, you know, if you're not doing it, if you don't do it properly, you can seriously damage yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously we've talked about kind of how you get into the ring and stuff, and obviously you just won your last fight. What does 2019 and what does the future look like for you as a fighter? Kind of where are you going? What are you going to be doing? Any upcoming fights that you can tell us about?
Well, I can't actually announce anything as of yet, but it looks like I've got something very soon, which is nice. I want to get straight back in there, and as I say, I don't want to get too out of shape because then I'll have to lose it all again. But yeah, mate, I'm just looking to get in that top 10 slot. And then, obviously I want to get a shot of the gold. I want to get that UFC strap. I want to be the second man to bring it back to England. So that's the plan. Just, get better, as we say, 1% each day. And, I just want to move up them rankings. I don't want to be a fighter that is just kind of plodding along and is in the UFC and he wins a fight, loses a fight, and, never really ends up going anywhere. I want to get to the top. So, whoever that be, whoever the UFC decide to give me, just, that I want to work my way up. So if they said to me tomorrow you could fight the champ, I'd do it.
Nice. I mean, just talking of moving up the ranks, do you feel like you would ever move up weight? What happens, what happens if you do, you start, what's the term? You end up, get pile driving through everyone. Is there an opportunity you feel like you could move up weight ever?
100%, mate. I want to fight the weight up now. I would be a very small featherweight, but I fought a featherweight before on Bellator. I won my fight and I felt great. My coaches, they won't let me. They're saying, mate, you're too small. You're doing well at bantamweight, so stay there. And I agree with them. But when I cut down to bantamweight, I feel amazing. So if it's, like I said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And obviously, since I had that featherweight fight, every bantamweight fight for me has been a step up. I went to Cage Warriors, got a world title fight, then got to the UFC. Obviously, I've signed into the UFC as a bantamweight. So for now, I just have to keep doing what I'm doing at 135. But best believe, mate, I don't want to be cutting weight for the rest of my life. I enjoy my food. So as soon as I get the opportunity to move up to 145 or bounce between the two, I'll definitely do it.
Awesome. Yeah. Adam, if you got any last questions, and then I've got some from our followers. For you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think one of the followers asked this as well. I mean, obviously you've given yourself the nickname, the Prospect. Like when you pile through everyone and become the champion, are you going to change your name, or is it going to stay as the Prospect and always trying to prove a point? What does that look like for you?
Well, obviously once I become the champ, then I might have to change it. But then, then I'll be looking to be pound for pound number one. So, I think I can always stick as the Prospect. But, at the moment, I like the name, and I think I'll stick with it for now, for sure.
It's got that edge to it, and I think people listening to you today as well will see that it's kind of fitting as well for you and your personality as well.
That's it, exactly.
Sure, man. I think it's got a it's got a marketability to it as well, Adam, in a business from a business sense. You know, he's a young British guy, which there aren't actually many. There aren't many that have the same level of potential as Nathaniel, and I think that works into the name. So yeah, it was a good decision with that one, bro.
I like to think no one else has got it as well. You know,
There
it's
you
like, mate, how many fighters have the pit bull or whatever? You know, there's not many.
Cliches.
I'm the only one that's got the prospect. I think Artem Lobov has. I think he's the prospect killer. He's put in his name. So if I move to 145, you know, we'll see. We'll see about that. But yeah, you know, it's nice having a bit of being a bit original. You know, and not having the same name that everyone else has. So
No,
that's
good
what.
for you. Do it your way.
Awesome. So shall I just ping off these questions if you're cool with that, Adam, or have you got anything else?
No, that's good. I mean, some of these questions cover some of the stuff that you and I were interested in anyway. So let's ask some questions, and we can let Nathaniel get on with getting fat.
So going back to the very first sentence we spoke about, Nathaniel, at the beginning of this podcast, if you didn't do MMA, what would you have done with your life?
I'd probably still be roofing and doing building work. I don't know how long I would have lasted at that though, because I hated it. So yeah, you know, maybe I would have gone and learned how to be an astronaut or something.
Okay, all right. Next one. What do you do in your spare time? Like, I know you've given us a brief outline of what you do day to day, but what really gets you off in terms of downtime?
Eating, you know, as I say, I eat a lot. So, you know, but when I can't eat, if I'm honest, mate, it sounds pretty boring. But there's not when I'm in fight camp and I can't eat. There's not much to do. You know, I can't drink, I can't eat. Going to the cinema and not being able to eat sweets, that's crap. You know, I don't want to do that. So, for me, I'm always playing sports. If I'm not training or I'm not fighting, you know, I'm kicking a ball about, or I don't know, I'm playing snooker with my friends or something. But again, you know, you go snooker with your friends, they're all drinking, having a pint, and I'm sitting there dieting. But, you know, if we're out of camp and I can eat what I want, you know, I'm usually out just socializing with my friends and family, you know, eating some good food, having a cappuccino at a Cafe Nero or something, and having a cake with it.
Oh, love it. Absolutely love it. We're going to have to sort your meal plan out then if you are feeling a little bit restricted with that, fam.
That's why I needed to fight soon, because, you know, otherwise you're gonna have a tough job. I just want to make you work, mate. That's all.
That's it. There's nothing we can't fix, fam. One of the other questions, which is a really interesting one. So this is your second fight in the UFC now. Is it mentally tougher? Was it mentally tougher for you to prepare for this UFC fight? And certainly with it being moved from Vegas to LA, was that tough?
With it being moved from Vegas to LA, it wasn't really difficult. They're quite close together and stuff. It was just a bit of it messed with my head a little bit. I wasn't really sure what was going on. I was on a flight going over there thinking, you know, I have no idea what's going on. Are we staying in Vegas or are we moving to LA and whatnot? If I'm honest though, the time zone that messed me up big time. That was fun. You know, I was getting about 3 hours, 4 hours sleep. So to do that for 5 nights, then cut weight, and it was all a bit much. But it obviously didn't affect my performance, which was nice. But you know, I definitely say that I wanna fight closer to home as much as I can, just because the time zone and the flights that they ain't fun, mate. Not at all.
I know that feeling. I live on an aeroplane, so I can help you with the time zone stuff. Don't worry about that one.
That's
Yeah.
it. Adam's everywhere, mate. He is everywhere. Okay, so my final question I want to ask you was, when you was growing up in this sport, when you was, you know, because there are a lot of fighters out there, young fighters, I coach a lot of them that actually do look up to you. And they're always asking about you. So when you was their age, when you was going through the ranks, who is it you looked up to? Was there anyone that you saw as like an idol or a role model?
I wouldn't say there was anyone I looked up to, if I'm honest, as an idol or role model. I just always, for me, what kind of pushed me on is always thinking, it sounds bad, but I haven't got another option. You know, this is everything to me. So I was thinking, I've put all my eggs in one basket. If I don't make this work, what am I going to be doing with my life? You know, am I going to just be labouring on a building site for the rest of my life? And I don't want to be doing that. You know, other people, they may want to, but, you know, I definitely don't. So for me, it was kind of, I was always training with pressure. You know, I was always had that pressure of I've got to succeed at what I'm doing. And if I don't, you know, I can't, I have nothing to fall back on. You know, I wasn't, you know, I'd done carpentry at college, but mate, I couldn't hang a door if you asked me to now. So, you know, for me, I'd say that the pressure of having to be a success in this is what kind of gets me through. So, you know, I think MMA is a sport where, you know, I do believe that you have to put everything into it. Otherwise, you're not going to get to the end goal. You know, by all means, if you enjoy MMA and you can work and do a bit of MMA on the side and you're happy, cool. But if you're pursuing it as a career and you really want to make it work, then for me, you can't be training part-time here and there and having months off and weeks off. You know, for me, have your fight, you're back in the gym the week after, you know, you're training and constantly trying to get better. So, you know, I don't know if that's going to crush people's dreams or not, but, you know, for me, I kind of think you have to put your all into it or nothing at all.
I think that's a very honest overview of it, and I think it's showing people the real raw nature of what it takes to be an elite level athlete. So no, I think that's perfect. Adam, do you have any final questions, or shall we wrap up?
No, other than just saying thank you to Nathaniel for his time, and
I appreciate you guys having me on.
no, pleasure. Cheers.